I will review a game between two 1200s. Now these two 1200s made some mistakes, actually a lot of mistakes, that you guys can learn from and you can avoid in the future so that you can become better at chess faster. The game started with a move e4, completely normal, e5, knight f3, and bishop out to c4. This is beautiful. Now black can play knight to c6, defending the pawn, playing d6. You know, black has too many options. He can play maybe knight here and try to castle, and in some cases give up the pawn for activity. But black in this position played the move knight to h6. Now, I don't know why beginners keep trying to reinvent the wheel. I mean, in the opening phase, I mean, it's been played by billion times, okay? A billion of games been played like this, where you can just develop your knight, develop the bishop, okay? Defend your center, and then attack. But this move completely neglects the safety of this pawn, and also not putting the knight in the center, like controlling the center, it's just putting the knight on the side of the board, and this is just a waste of time and actually loses a pawn. You can just take this pawn for free. Yes, he can attack the knight, he can just drop back, and if his plan is to go knight here, you castle, and even if he takes here and takes back, king takes, this is still fine, and white is still up a pawn, and white is more active. So, after the move knight h6 by black, white can take this pawn, but decided to castle his king. He's just a principled chess player. He thought that this is going to be some kind of a trick, well, he's going to lose, something like that. Especially when he thought, oh, after knight takes pawn, maybe, there will be some kind of a trick like queen to f6. Attacking the knight and also threatening checkmate in one, but he can just go back. There is no tricks whatsoever. But maybe he started to see some ghosts from this move. He castled. Now active knight, active bishop, pawn in the center, safe king. White is playing beautifully. Black decided to go knight to g4. Knight to g4, yes, two pieces are attacking this, and there are two defenders, and trying to exchange two pieces for a rook is not worth it, okay? Because this is a 3 points of material, this is 3, and this is 5, and this is 1. So you're just trading 6 points for 6 points, for the pawn and the rook, but you're trading your active pieces for a rook that is not active. That's why it's not a good trade. White played the move d3, trying to activate the bishop, and also play in the future knight to c3. Very beautiful play by white, and black went for his plan. No, I'm just going to take this pawn, I'm going to take the rook and a pawn for 2 pieces. Now that's not a good trade, as I told you, because in this position he has an active knight and active bishop. Nothing is developed in his structure, only the knight and the bishop. So when you gave away the knight and the bishop, which are active pieces, now you have nothing active, nothing, right? And black here should have castled at least. Like, having a safe king is better than anything else. Having a safe king, this pawn is weak, so can play knight to c6, can play d6 for example, to defend the pawn, at least get the bishop active, right? Any of these two moves, or maybe castling and giving away this pawn for activity. But black played the move c6. Now, the plan of the c6, honestly, the only thing that I can think of right now, maybe why black thought, oh, white is gonna attack me with the bishop, so I can play this check, and after the king moves or bishop blocks, I win a pawn. Maybe that was his plan, maybe not, I have no idea, but this is not a safe queen, and actually he might get trapped sooner or later. So this is not a good plan if he was thinking about it. And he needs to get the knight active, the bishop active, king safe, one of these three, I mean one of them. But he decided to go for the move c6. Maybe his plan is to go for a d5 or b5 push to attack the bishop. White moved the king to g1. Now, in this position, white can play knight to c3, developing the knight, getting the bishop active here. taking this pawn, for example. But I think the reason why white moved the king to g1, white was scared. It was like, oh, if I took this pawn, black will give me this check. I block with the queen or I move my king, I lose the knight. That's the only logic behind it, because, I mean, after this check, you can just draw back with the knight. You don't have to lose the knight, right? But maybe white didn't see that after this check, he did not see that he can just go back to the exact same square he came from. But I don't know. He moved the king away. Black played this move, queen to b6 check, completely doesn't do anything. He needs to get the knight active, the bishop active, the king safe. He's doing none of that. And after this move, even king to h1 is even better, moving away out of any kind of check and not committing to a pawn and weakening your structure. But this is still fine. Takes, knight takes, and the move c5, attacking the knight. Knight to f5. I love how white is playing this. At least he has an active bishop. The knight is attacking the pawn on g7, right? He's threatening to play this check and force the king away so that he will never be castled and the king will be stuck in the corner, in the center of the board. And I love this. Black castled. Finally, black castled. Now, try to stop the video and find what is the best move here for white. Now, there are a lot of moves for white here, and all of them are actually good. But what would you play here if you were playing with the white pieces? Okay, maybe you thought about queen to g4, threatening checkmate, right? Good move, actually. Yeah, it's not a terrible move. It's not a huge blunder or whatever. It is a good move. Threatening checkmate. You're forcing him kind of to play this move, and you're getting your pieces active. Maybe you could have played this check to maybe then reroute the knight here to attack the queen as well. So that could be a good plan. Maybe you thought about a crazy move like bishop to h6, for example. He cannot take. You might say, well, what? Why he cannot take the bishop? Because you can play this check. Now, if you move to the corner, he gets checkmated. But you will tell me, of course, he will not move to the corner. He will block with the queen. And that's the entire idea of sacrificing the bishop there, because you can play this fork, and after the king moves anywhere, you win the queen. And even before, even if he takes, with the queen, we can just take back with the knight, right? That's why it could be a good move. The queen here, the bishop there, all of these are actually good moves. But not all the time. Yes, you have a check here on e7, and not if you have a check that means you can play it and you have to play it. No, because you have to think what's going to happen after it. Like if you played knight to e7 check, the only move for black is to go king to h8. What's going to happen after that? Nothing. You just made a random move. You removed the knight from adding pressure on this pawn that you could have used in some way to threaten checkmate on your opponent. So after this check, black moved and white played knight to d5. Maybe white thought about this rerouting of the knight, but the knight is blocking the bishop now, and the bishop will not be active on this diagonal since there's a pawn here, and the knight is in the way. And black moved the queen to g6. Now, whenever your pieces gets attacked, right, you have to know where to put it, because you have to be very careful where you put the pieces. You have to think, okay, now after my idea is to go like queen to g6, but after I go queen to g6, what can he do? Well, there's nothing stopping me from going knight to c7 to attack the rook that is trapped, so I will win the rook. So that's what black is supposed to think about, but black did not even try to protect this square on c7. Maybe he could have went back all the way to d8, even though it's not so active, but at least you're defending against this, and white will not win a pawn, or win a piece, sorry. And black went here, and now white has the move knight to c7. Whatever black does, like for example takes this pawn here, yes, your bishop is attacked, so you don't need to take here. Okay, you don't need to take. You can just save the bishop first and then take, because the rook is not going to go anywhere, and the knight is still safe. But white did not play the move knight to c7. Instead, white played knight to e7. I understand that he's trying to be, you know, aggressive in his playing style. But aggressive doesn't mean just attacking your opponent's pieces. Aggressive means using all of your pieces to checkmate the king, not to attack a damn piece. So, a better move for white, knight to c3, getting the bishop active, getting the queen active, getting the rook active. Okay? This is what chess is all about. Activity. But white played this move, knight to e7, and black took here, attacking the knight, attacking the bishop. Well, white had a chance to win the rook and decided to go for the queen and did not think about where the queen is going to go. This is another mistake that beginners do. I'm just going to attack the queen and the queen got to go somewhere. Well, guess where it's going to go? It's going to go to that damn pawn and attack your knight and the bishop at the same time. And apparently you cannot defend both. Apparently you can with queen to e2. The queen is defending the bishop is defending the queen, and the queen is defending the knight. So that's beautiful. But it's still not so clear, because after like a move like this, no, sorry, that's a horrendous move. Sorry about that. After this, and rook here, at least he can take the bishop, and if he takes you here, it's still equal maybe somehow. Try to save the knight, but you will lose a pawn maybe in the process, and check here as well. So it's not so clear for what's going to happen there. But that's the first mistake here, not going for this attack on the trapped rook, and going for this, and now he just took the bishop, and black took the knight back, and now the bishop took here, and it's still equal. Black played bishop to f8, attacking the bishop, and the bishop went back, attacking the queen, and also attacking the pawn. That's a good move. The queen moved, takes here, and I think here there's a checkmate, right? Check here, sack the queen, and after it takes, there will be checkmate. I'm pretty sure there's a checkmate here. Yeah. So yeah, white here took the pawn, thinking that he's gonna win a rook, but after not checkmate here, checkmate on f2. The king's forced to go to the corner, then you sacrifice the queen. I mean, you see this every single day on chess.com puzzle, daily puzzle, where you can just sacrifice a piece to get the checkmate on the back rank. But white did not see that. White was supposed to go bishop to f3, queen to f3 maybe if he would like to trade trade queens, but bishop to f3 is still fine. He took here, and that is checkmate in 3, but black missed it. And white took the rook, and white is still losing because this move is still possible, and white is completely cooked. But black did not see that. And that's what happens when you don't look at the game in general. You don't look at the entirety of the board. Yes, you have check. I mean, how? Okay, well, white played this check, not black. So, yeah, black was not thinking about some checks. Maybe he thought about that, well, after this check, the king will run away. There is no checkmate here because of the queen. So, it's nothing. We don't have anything. But actually, he does have this checkmate in 3, but he did not see that. And black in this position has 9 minutes and 11 seconds. You have 9 minutes. So this is another mistake that beginners do. They just play super fast, and they don't know why they're losing. And they don't know how to get better at chess. I mean, chess is all about thinking, right? I mean, the only way to get better at, making better decisions is to think while making the decision, right? And in chess, you have to think, and none of these players are actually thinking. Black missed mate in a lot of times, and after bishop takes rook, again, white is still losing due to queen to f2 check, but he decided to take the bishop, and now it's not winning anymore for white. For black. Now, as you can see right now, the pieces are literally garbage, and white needs to get the knight active, the bishop active, the queen active, the rook into the game, because now white is up a piece and he needs to take some action. But I would definitely play knight to c3, or try to get the bishop on e3 for some kind of an activity, or try to trade the queens, any of these two moves. And white played h3. Now, I don't know why he thought about the move h3. I mean, there's no significant threat, there is no checks, there's nothing. So I don't know why he's not developing any of these pieces, right, and getting them active. But he played the move h3 and rook to f8. Now, some kind of this kind of check and here and sacrificing the queen, it does not work. Sorry, or giving a check and forcing a trade, it doesn't work because the king can run away because of this move h3. And now white played the move knight to d2. Now why this is bad? Yes, he's developing the knight, but this is a bad move. This is a good way to develop the knight, taking control of the center squares, right? And still allowing the bishop to be active. But knight to d2, first of all, is not controlling that square, so the knight will not go there. The knight might go here, but the bishop is now bad. The rook is not capable of getting into the game because of the bishop and the rook and the knight in the way. So that's why knight to c3 is better than knight to d2, unless you have a bishop out. Knight to d2 and black played knight to d4. Now still there's nothing. Yes, black is attacking a pawn and trying to attack the rook, but white played queen to f1 in his position. He's like, no, let's just trade queen. If you want to take here, okay, let's say that white was thinking, after knight takes pawn, queen takes, and rook takes, and white can just move the rook and he will be safe. Well, that's correct, but after this move, he doesn't need to take the pawn. He can just take the queen, and the king cannot take, but the knight can take. But what happens after this move, that black doesn't need to take this pawn anymore. He can play this check. And now this move, this check, forces the king away from the knight, and the knight will be lost, since the king cannot go there, it cannot keep defending the knight. And a better move is simply king to h2, but black will win the knight. But white went to h1, king to h1. He lost the knight with a check. I mean, if you're going to lose a piece anyway, it's better to lose the piece without getting checked while being captured, right? So going here and allowing your opponent to take it is much better than allowing your opponent to take it with a check. So now you're not improving your position. I mean, here he could have played something like this. It's still somehow equal. Let's say he pushed the pawn. You can play bishop to b2. If he traded rooks, it's still fine for white and black. It's still equal in material. That's what, white was supposed to do. But he didn't play any of this. After this takes, and he just played this move, and I was like, oh, nice. White is trying to go bishop to b2, and I love this. After this. Exactly this is what happened? No. After this move, king to h2, black played knight to f4. Knight to f4 is simply preparing some kind of an attack on this pawn. And the best move for white is to play b3, and allowing this to happen. No, actually that will be bad because you can just take here, and after it takes, you can just try to defend yourself, or maybe attack the pawn there. It's still fine. But after the move knight to f4, and white was thinking, I mean, I cannot get the rook active, and he was not thinking about b3 and bishop to b2, so that if after takes, he will still be equal. He decided to take the knight, and he thought that black will take the bishop. But I mean, come on. Of course, black will take the rook, and this is just losing. I mean, you gave away now 2 points of material for black. A rook is much better than a bishop. And after this move, just defending the pawn, black started pushing some pawns, and after this, here, I mean, he could have just taken. He could have just taken, attacked the bishop, and just push to make a queen. But he did not go en passant. I don't know for what reason. He tried to do something, but black is simply up material. And even if you take here, right? Even if you take this pawn, he cannot even take this pawn. Sorry, it's a check. It will be a check. So he decided to block, and after takes, white decided to resign, and he lost the game. Now, how many times white was winning this? Probably more than 5 or 6 times. Majority of the game he was winning, especially when he had the move here. After this move, knight to h6, he could have won the pawn on e5. And you need to be careful. I mean, you don't have to trust your opponent's calculation every single time. Like, yes, if you take care, he will get his queen active, attack the knight, threaten checkmate. You go back, and you might think, oh, there's kind of tricks all over the place, attacking this, but you can castle. And even if he did this, even if he did it, and yes, the knight is still, pinned, you can just move the king now, and there's no attack. You can just move the knight away. And you need to stop, trusting your opponent too much with the calculation that they have. And after this is a bad trade. Don't ever trade 2 pieces for a rook. It's not worth it. Okay, a bishop and a knight will be more active than a rook in most of the games. Okay, and now this move, not developing pieces, not playing the move d6 to at least get the bishop active, not castling your king. All of these are bad moves. I mean, he was supposed. Oh, sorry, all of these are actually good moves, but he did not play any of them, and decided to push some pawns, and some misses from white here. I mean, he missed knight to c7, which is 100% winning for white. After this move, you could just win the rook, and that would be much better for white. But here, he decided to go for some kind of attacks. And even this, white is still winning, and he needed to go back to f3 not to lose the game. But after this, that will be, as I showed you before, that will be checkmate in 3 moves. But black missed it, white missed it, and this is winning for white now. And you have this, and you're playing with the white pieces. Get your pieces active. Okay, you're up 3 points of material, so you're up 3 points, and you have these pieces, strong pieces. Use them instead of making some weird pawn moves. Develop the knight, develop the bishop, get the queen out, get the rook out. You have to be active with your pieces. And now, as you can see, like before here, he has active pieces, and even though, he could have maybe lost the pawn, but black has active pieces, and he could have won the game just because active pieces. And white cannot do the exact same thing because he doesn't have any active piece. He only has a queen on the exact same square of, on the starting squares. So this is not good. Black missed the checkmate, white missed it as well. And here, not using your pieces correctly and just blocking yourself all over the place. Going for this kind of trade now and not thinking that at the end there will be some kind of a check and you will be forced to move away and you will lose your rook. And actually white played this move in 9 seconds. 9 seconds to take a decision is not a good thing, okay? Most of the time it's going to be a bad decision. And even here, no, he cannot play this check because white can just take it. That's why black took. And after this, now he can play this check, force the king away, and win the knight and win a piece. And this is just not win the piece, but win a piece, because now he can just take here. Yeah, actually I forgot to mention that. Sorry about that. He can just take here. After takes. Black is up a piece, but these pawns are together, these two are together, and this one is alone. So it might it might become a draw if black misplayed this in some way, but this is completely winning for black, and most of them missed a lot of stuff. And I just want to tell you that at the end the game finished with what? Here, white has 7 minutes and 21 seconds, and black has 8 minutes and 32 seconds. What is this? If you want to play blitz, play blitz. Don't play a rabbit and then blitz out the moves, okay? This is not going to be a good thing, because your opponent might actually use the time to think if you're not gonna use it to think. That's exactly what happened with White. White was winning in most of the positions, but he lost the game because he was playing super fast, and both of them are playing super fast, right? I mean, both of them, and they missed a lot, and this is how what happened. And if you found this video helpful and enjoyable and you've learned something valuable from it, imagine the value that you're going to get from watching a personalized game review video. So I will not watch just a random game on the internet. I will watch your games and I will provide feedback on your games and help you improve at chess. So feel free to contact me below. I will leave my email in the description if you want a personalized game review video that will help you understand your weaknesses more and what you should work on and how to get better at chess. Thank you so much for watching. See you tomorrow.